How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Haunted Cafe Slumber Party. Grab a drink and a comfy chair because we have a spooky tale to tell. Today is part 4 of our Slumber Party series, and basically, what we are going to be talking about today is the ghost cards. In my opinion, and probably more likely, it's actually considered like the earliest version of the Ouija board. So, yeah. But before we get into that, today we are going to be drinking Stash's double spiced chai. You know, spooky all the way, I guess. Not really. But the ingredients are blended black teas, cinnamon, ginger root, clove bud oil, allspice, natural cinnamon flavor, and cardamom oil. Basically, all of those flavors like signify fall. So, that, at least in my opinion. So, if you're interested in buying that, you can look at our description box and there should be a link somewhere for it. And enjoy. Let us know what you think. So, I just want to point out, like I said, that if you do play this game, it is basically an earlier version of a Ouija board. Is it Ouija board or Ouija? Or Ouija? I feel like I say it wrong now. Anyway, before the board was invented in 1890, people would use tarot cards, or in this ritual, standard playing cards, to communicate and talk to the dead. Technically, you are still inviting things into your room and life with you, so caution is advised. For this ritual, you will need a deck of playing cards, and they have to have the 4 suits. So, like the diamonds, spades, clubs, and hearts. Yeah. And you have to make sure that all the cards are there, but you can set aside the jokers because you won't need them. You will need some salt, a candle or two, ambiance, a lighter or matches, and a dark, quiet room. For once, in these rituals that we are talking about, you are allowed to have more than one person in the room with you. In fact, you can have a bunch of people. So invite your friends. It's time for a seance, basically. Anyway, let's get started. So for this ritual, you can start at any point in time. It can even be during the day. The only thing is that you have to be in a dark room. So if you plan on doing this during the day, you need some really thick curtains. I personally would do this at night. You don't have to do it at like midnight or 3 a.m. or anything like that. Just, dark. So definitely do it on Halloween though, like where the veil is like its thinnest. So to set up, sit in the center of your dimly lit room. If it's just 2 people, sit across from each other. But if it's more than 2 people, everyone gets to sit in a nice circle. Place the candle next to you or in the center of the circle and light it. Then put your cards in the center of the circle. Sprinkle salt on them to purify them. You don't have to go crazy with the salt. Just a little sprinkle will do, And like I said, salt acts as like a purifier in the paranormal world. So what I think this is that you're kind of like using the salt to purify any past uses. So like maybe if you played card games, it's purifying those uses away and giving the cards like a new purpose, if that makes sense. If not, I'm not really sure what you would use the salt for, or like why you would be sprinkling the cards with salt for, besides protection or purification. But anyway, after you season your cards, each person playing has to shuffle them. First you would start with the main person, kind of the person that's like directing everyone, and then it would go clockwise around the circle. Everyone has to shuffle. Once the cards have returned to the first player, they need to lay 18 cards down in rows of 3 or 6 in each row. Then, the first player should ask the following question: Are there any spirits willing to talk to us tonight? Then that person should hold their hand over the cards and wait until they feel something above one of the cards. So basically, you're like hovering your hand across these 18 cards. And you're waiting to feel something. It could be heat, it could be like a tingly feeling, but it should just feel different above that specific card compared to the others. When you think you have the right card, pick it up, and that should be your answer. In the case of this ritual, if the card is a heart, the answer is yes. If it's spades, the answer is no. If it's a diamond, the answer is maybe. And if it's a club, the answer is I don't know. Now, obviously, if the answer is yes, you're good to go. You can start playing the ritual. If it's a no, do not continue. It is said that if you get a maybe or an I don't know, you can continue with the ritual, but you should be very cautious with when you're doing it. So, it says that if while you are playing, someone starts feeling like they're being touched or something physical happens, end the ritual by saying farewell. So obviously the entity that you're playing with is a little bit more aggressive than one that just simply wants to answer questions. So if you don't feel anything from the cards, most likely the ritual has failed and you're not supposed to continue. If everything is good to go, or you are proceeding with a lot of caution, each player may start taking turns asking questions by going clockwise in a circle. After they ask their yes or no question, they place their hand over the cards until they feel something coming from one. When they feel it, they can pick up that card. Of course, the answer to the question is the same as like what I said. I think hearts or no, once you're ready to move on, set that card aside and replace it with one that is still in the deck. If for some reason the person doesn't feel any heat or tinglings coming from the cards, the spirit may have decided not to answer that question, and it's saying that you should probably just skip that question and move on to the next person. That could mean that the spirit didn't want to answer, or maybe that you personally aren't ready for the answer. So I'm assuming, like, it has to be yes or no questions, but you could ask about, like, your life, you could ask about them personally, and, like, depending on what you're asking, they may not want to answer, which is super spooky. Anyway, then the next person can ask a question as well, and then you just kind of go round and round in the circle until all the cards are gone, as long as everyone in the circle is feeling comfortable, like no one's feeling touched or anything like that. If someone does start being touched, or they're hearing like creepy noises behind them, or just anything weird going on in the room itself, it says that you should say farewell immediately. It's kind of the same way that you would stop a Ouija board session if things started getting too scary with that. You may also want to stop playing the game if your questions start to go unanswered. You're not really getting responses or anything like that anymore. You have either angered the spirit, or they just don't really want to talk anymore. So, to officially close out the game, each person must say goodbye or farewell to the spirit. Then, the first person that asks the question will blow out the candle and gather all the cards together and sprinkle more salt over them. Once again, to kind of purify the cards, I guess. Then, the first person has to shuffle the cards, and I feel like maybe just shuffle away the spirit, or to close a portal that's been open. It's kind of like when you say goodbye on the Ouija board, you're closing that portal. And like I said, that's pretty much it. Shuffle the cards, you close the ritual, or you close the portal, and then that's it. The ritual's over. So now for the cards. It doesn't really say that you have to do anything specific with them after the ritual, but it says don't use the cards for anything else. So no playing like Shanghai Rummy or anything with them. You can just put them in a drawer and forget about them, or you could maybe toss them in the trash. You could bury them, burn them. I guess whatever you feel like personally comfortable with. But you can't use them for anything else again. I'm wondering if you could keep them to use them like again for this purpose, like for this ritual. That I'm not sure about. To me, this ritual honestly sounds really interesting. It's not one that really scares me too much compared to like the other ones that we've talked about. I don't know why, but it's just like another form of communication, like, you know, the Ouija board and stuff like that. But it's not like crazy extravagant like the one man hide and seek. Like you're still inviting ghosts and spirits and stuff like that into your house, but this one you're just trying to find out information, you know, through playing cards. You know what I mean? It's just more of like simple form of communication compared to like the spirit trying to hunt you down with a knife. um so in terms of what questions you can ask, as far as I know, you can ask pretty much anything. You can talk about the spirit themselves. Like maybe if you're in a haunted house, you can like ask them like how they died, or not exactly how they died, but you could say like, you know, did you die in this house and blah blah blah. You could also think about like, you could probably ask them about like your future or your life in general. Like, am I going to get this job promotion? Yes or no? Or am I going to come into some money? Yes or no? Like, you know, I guess it just depends on what you're looking for while you're playing this game. Me personally, I would probably more so ask about the ghost. I would probably go to like some kind of haunted location, like the Conjuring. I don't know if you can do it at the Conjuring house, but like the Conjuring house, or like I don't know, like some haunted location, and like play this to see if you get any kind of valid information. I just think that this could be a really cool, like, possible way of, like, a straightforward way of talking to spirits, because, like, you can't see what the cards are before you pick them up. So you're going in kind of blind too, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. I know this was a short one, but it's a really basic ritual, you know? Like, you're just using these cards as a form of communication. I think it's really interesting, like I said, and I think that for Halloween, this would be a really cool way to spook your friends, maybe, or something like that. Not that I like recommend you doing this, but it's just like, I guess if you want to, you know, like I said, I know girls, when they have slumber parties, they like to summon spirits and stuff. At least I know I did. So, yeah, let me know if you guys tried the ghost cards or if you have previously. I think Sam and Colby actually did on Sam's channel. They were actually on the Queen Mary, the haunted ship, and they actually got some really cool info. So maybe go watch that, and you know, so you kind of get an idea of how people actually play this. But yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please be sure to check back in tomorrow for part 5 of our slumber party, the final part. This one, to me, this next episode that we are going to be doing is going to be super intense, like compared to the other ones. The one that we're going to be talking about on Halloween is the Midnight Man. Now, if you know anything about the Midnight Man, you know just how intense it is. So, yeah, get ready for that one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Catch you later.